what CNN said. They said, "We are completely uncomfortable with what we have learned about her interactions with the Clinton campaign while she was a CNN contributor."
Here's the thing. I was reading on thehill.com this morning, Joe Concha, a media watchdog, he said, CNN really needs to have an internal investigation to figure out how this all happened. For instance, with the first one, it sounds like Roland Martin, remember him, longtime CNN guy, fed the question to Donna Brazile for that town hall. CNN needs to figure out what went wrong over there, just so that it doesn't go wrong again.
Congratulations on the questions. You're in Flint, Michigan, talking about the water crisis, and the question was, be prepared. A woman's going to ask you about the water crisis or what you're going to do about it with lead in the pipes.
That's true.
Really, thanks. I'd be like, excuse me, do you have that little confidence in me? You have to feed me that question ahead of time? And they're talking about the makeup of the type of lead that's in the pipe. I get it. Give me a heads up.
Donald Trump said if this were reversed, if Reince Priebus were giving us the questions, I would get the electric chair.
It would be a joke.
All right, guys, 7 days from the election. Fox News has Election Day coverage. We've got you covered starting at 4 a.m. and all night as the votes are coming in. So you need to stay with Fox News Channel, America's election headquarters. And we have a new studio. It's so cool.
That's right. Just throw away your remote. Leave it here on Fox. Meanwhile,
the president believes that Director Comey is a man of integrity, he's a man of principle, and he's a man of good character. These same character traits are what led a strong majority of Democratic and Republican senators to confirm him to this job. These are the traits that led the president to select him to be the director of the FBI.
Well, after FBI Director James Comey recommended against indicting Hillary Clinton, or charges, that is to say, and considered the investigation into her email over back in July, he was reportedly overwhelmed with resignation requests and regret. This, according to a close source of Comey's, who spoke to writer Ed Klein, who joins us right now live. His book is called Guilty as Sin. Ed, nice to have you.
Great to be here.
Okay. So ever since July, apparently the rank-and-file FBI agents were really steamed at him, and inside the FBI, the atmosphere is toxic.
When James Comey would walk down the hallways of the FBI and say good morning, people wouldn't talk back to him. That's how bad things had been in the FBI. There's a sense that he disgraced the institution and brought it down. And he has been suffering because this is a guy who is an evangelical Catholic who gets down on his knees every night and prays to God. He has this sense of moral rectitude. He thinks that he knows what's right, and it put him in a direction that actually was a disaster for him and the institution.
So if he had a do-over, would he have suggested charges?
I think he would have, because according to my sources, he and his wife, Patrice, who are very, very close, not only in their marriage, but in his professional life, she has been telling him, Jim, you did the wrong thing. You've got to redeem yourself somehow. So when he learned about the emails in Anthony Weiner's laptop, he jumped at the chance to reopen this case.
Because two things. One, apparently he had been talking to his wife, Patrice, according to your report, that he was depressed that so many resignation letters from FBI agents were stacking up on his desk, but also the harm he felt that was being done to the FBI.
That's right. Now, he hasn't signed these resignation letters because he's hoping that he can undo the damage. You know, I think one of the interesting things here is that the President of the United States has so politicized the Justice Department that Loretta Lynch has been interfering in this entire investigation from the very, very beginning, and has given Comey a hard time at every step of the way because the President, the Justice Department are all trying to get Hillary Clinton elected president.
One of our stories today is a Reuters report that apparently Comey revealed that they found, reportedly over 500,000 of these email on this Weiner laptop. And the day before, on Thursday, Comey met with Lynch. And Lynch said, if you release a letter to Congress, that violates policy, longstanding DOJ policy. And then he said, are you ordering me to keep this bombshell a secret? And she said nothing.
Yes, and the reason for that is because James Comey has a reputation of threatening to resign if he doesn't get his way. And can you imagine 7 days before the election if the director of the FBI resigned? I mean, this would throw the entire justice system into complete chaos.
And we opened this segment with some sound bites of Josh Earnest talking glowingly about Director Comey being a man of integrity. But in one of your earlier books, didn't Barack Obama regard appointing James Comey as the worst mistake of his presidency?
The worst mistake of my presidency. Now today, they're coming out and saying, oh no, this guy has got complete integrity. Now the president doesn't want to look as though he's interfering in the election either.
Right.
So this is a complete mess at the very top of our criminal justice system. I would call it a constitutional crisis in the making at this very moment.
Donald Trump said the same thing. All right, his big bestseller is called Guilty as Sin. Ed Klein, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
FBI Director James Comey feeling the heat from all over pretty much today in Washington for his decision to publicly notify Congress that he needed to reopen the Clinton email investigation. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley telling Director Comey that he didn't go far enough in explaining what is going on, saying, quote, in the absence of additional authoritative information from the FBI in the wake of your vague disclosure, Congress and the American people are left to sift through anonymous leaks from Justice Department officials to the press of varying levels of detail, reliability, and consistency. The American people deserve better than that, says Chuck Grassley. Let's bring in Rich Lowry, editor of the National Review, and Richard Fowler is radio talk show host. Both are Fox News contributors. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to have you here,
Good to be here, Martha.
this morning. So let me start with you, Rich Lowry, on this. Do you agree with Grassley?
Well, that letter on Friday, it was so opaque, it was almost impossible to understand. But let's be honest here. Comey was put in an extremely difficult situation by the fact that Hillary Clinton had this email set up in the first place, and the Democrats nominated a presidential candidate who was under FBI investigation. So this was always going to be very tricky to handle. So I'm open to criticisms that he should have handled this or that differently, but I'm not open to the idea that he's a hack and a criminal, as Harry Reid suggested the other day, from the same Democrats who the day before yesterday were hailing him as a wonderful patriot and public servant. That's just disgraceful.
We have to be careful here because we're really dealing with, you know, the institutions that are so meaningful and crucial in this country. And there is so much loose talk going around about the FBI and about the Department of Justice. But as we try to sort of weed through this and figure out whether or not he did the right thing and what comes next, there's another editorial today by William Barr, who was the Attorney General from 1991 to 1993, who argues that Comey, in his mind, did exactly the right thing. He has the opposite viewpoint from Grassley. He says the failure of the Clinton camp to provide all pertinent evidence rendered Comey's July announcement misleading. The FBI's investigation was not comprehensive and not complete, and the conclusions announced by Comey 3 months ago were therefore premature. So he's saying, Richard Fowler, that he had to come forward now because he knows that there is more information than he thought, and they have to go through it. Your thoughts?
This is a problem. Here's the problem, Martha, and thanks for having me in. Good to see you, Rich. Here, the larger problem that we have here is that this is all against FBI protocol. The FBI never gives status updates on pending investigations. They've never done it, right? And the fact that he tipped his toe in the water the first time, and so now the second tip is even more problematic. And I think Rich is right. This letter that he sent to Congress a couple days ago was opaque, and I think it caused a lot of questions, which led to the leaks, because you have this side leaking. You have this side leaking. There's leaks all over places, like a really bad leaky roof. And the American people are left holding the bag with just 7 days to go before a major election.
I mean, William Barr argues, this former Attorney General, and you can read the piece in the Wall Street Journal, argues that that's not true, that it does not go against FBI policy, and that because his former statement was that they had been through everything, And now he realizes that they have not been through everything. He really had no choice. He was going to influence something, whether he did it before the election or right after the election. And it is a tight place. I'm sure he would, be the first to admit it if he were at liberty to discuss it, that he's in a tough spot, Rich Lowry.
Right. Well, the public was under the impression that the investigation was closed because the director of the FBI had told Congress that. So that was a misleading impression. It was no longer true.
Right.
And he felt the obligation to let the public know it was no longer true. Now, to Richard's point, you could argue that he never should have gone down this road in the beginning, in July. He just should have made his recommendation to the Justice Department the way you always do, not comment on anything. But it was, there's such public interest on this, he felt as though it couldn't just be a black box.
I mean, there's already so much about this that is so irregular. The fact that there was no grand jury, the fact that witnesses acted as lawyers and sat next to Hillary Clinton during her testimony, Richard Fowler, the fact that there was a promise made to them to destroy their laptops. You have to wonder at this point if Huma Abedin hadn't wished that she got in on that part of the deal, because hers is still now out there. So there are so many issues with the way that this was handled that it leads people to believe, and voters seem to be responding to that in the polls, that there's something up here, that there was too much political influence on this investigation.
Yeah, and I think the influence goes both ways. Judge Napolitano on Kelly File said last night that, that's exactly the problem with this whole entire investigation. There's way too much information being put out there. Nobody should have known about the immunity. Nobody should have known about the fact that people were asked to destroy laptops or not destroy laptops. And let's be very clear. In the affidavit that was sent for the search warrant did not include Hillary Clinton at all. The search warrant was mainly the affidavit was mainly involving Huma Abedin and not Hillary Clinton. And we don't know if these emails are duplicates. We don't know what these emails are. Martha, you don't know. Rich, you don't know. And I don't know. And now the American voters don't know, which is what the Clinton campaign is saying. They deserve the right to know, whether you're a Trump voter, a Hillary voter, or an independent. Every American, now that Comey has stepped his foot into politics, they deserve the right to know.
Well, but many people would say Loretta Lynch is the one who put her foot in politics,
he surely
and that's
did.
why we're here.
6 days before
Democrats nominated someone with this legal exposure who is under FBI investigation. And this is why it's been a norm honored through most American history. You don't nominate for president someone under FBI investigation, because very bad things are going to happen. It's going to put the FBI in a possible
Trump
situation.
University's under investigation.
Rich, your last word was the last word, so now we've got another last word, and now we really have to go. Thank you very much, you guys. Good to see you both.
Thanks so much.
CNN cutting ties with Donna Brazile, the DNC chair. This after it was revealed that she leaked a question to the Clinton camp ahead of a CNN town hall during this past primary season. In a statement